People who don't believe in God aren't who you think they are. Some people assume they're cold, lost, or just don't believe in anything, but psychology tells a completely different story. In fact, there are specific mental patterns that explain why some people don't believe, and one of them might surprise you. People who don't believe in God often share one strong habit. They question things most people accept: traditions, norms, beliefs passed down from family. This connects to traits like curiosity and skepticism, often linked with critical thinking. For example, if someone tells them, "This is true because it's always been true," their brain immediately responds, "But how do we know?" And this is where things get misunderstood. Questioning doesn't always mean rejecting. Sometimes it just means thinking deeper. One of the biggest psychological traits is this: they rely heavily on evidence-based thinking. People who don't believe in God often prefer conclusions that can be tested, observed, or proven. This connects to a thinking style studied in analytical thinking. Instead of asking what feels true, they ask what can be proven. But here's the interesting part: this doesn't mean they reject meaning, they just define it differently. They might find meaning in science, human connection, personal growth, and the universe itself. For them, belief isn't about faith, it's about understanding. Here's where it gets deeper. Without belief in a higher power, people often develop a different perspective on life. Instead of, everything happens for a reason, they might think, things happen and we create the meaning. This mindset is closely tied to ideas in existentialism, which focuses on freedom, responsibility, and creating your own purpose. But here's the twist: this can actually make life feel more meaningful, not less. Because if nothing is predetermined, then every choice matters more. Most people want clear answers. What happens after death? Why are we here? But people who don't believe in God are often more comfortable saying, "I don't know." This connects to a trait called tolerance of uncertainty. Instead of filling the unknown with belief, they accept the unknown as it is. And surprisingly, that can reduce anxiety, because they're not trying to force answers where none exist. Here's something most people don't talk about enough. In many cultures, belief in God is the norm, so people who don't believe often experience judgment, misunderstanding, and pressure to conform. This can create a strong sense of independence, because they've had to stand by their beliefs, even when it's uncomfortable, and that takes confidence, not arrogance. This is one of the biggest misconceptions, and you've probably thought of this before. Some people assume no belief in God equals no moral compass. But psychology doesn't support that idea. Human behavior is strongly influenced by prosocial behavior, which includes empathy, cooperation, and fairness. In other words, people don't need religion to care about others. Many develop their values based on empathy, logic, and life experiences. They don't ask, "What am I told is right?" They ask, "What feels right and makes sense?" Now, here's the part most people miss. Despite their differences, believers and non-believers actually share something important. They're both trying to answer the same questions. Why are we here? What matters in life? How should we live? The only difference is how they approach those questions. And once you see that, the divide doesn't feel as big anymore. Do you think belief is shaped more by logic or experience? Comment your opinion. And if this made you see things from a new perspective, share it with someone who thinks differently than you.